All right, everybody, welcome into another episode of Sports with Doc and Dudes. It's great to be with you. We're down a dude today, but we're sending a lot of positive vibes to Dwayne for an internship interview that he's got today. So give him a shout out and tell him best wishes for that, and we'll miss him, but we'll roll with who we got. So Preston and Dustin, how we doing?
Feeling good. Coming off a win,
Yeah.
This is Texas 2-yard bomb for the brand. Let's go.
No, yeah, it's been a good week in Lubbock, right? Like and actually we haven't talked, I don't think, since McGuire was hired. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, you got our guy,
Yeah.
I guess me and Dustin were pretty right on that front. We kind of assumed it was going to be McGuire.
Yeah, so I'm excited to maybe hear what you guys think about that, because I know, like, at least for me, my whole Twitter timeline has been flooded with nothing but guys reporting offers from Texas Tech. So, like, the man has definitely, him or his staff, they've definitely been busy, and good week for men's basketball and women's basketball getting off to a good start. And we just got another. I guess we had a guy who decommitted, then recommitted back to men's basketball. Isaacs, I think he's from Nevada. So anyway, lots of good stuff going on, lots to talk about. There's a lot that's happened since we were last together. So I'm really looking forward to our convo today. So Preston, why don't we kick it off with you?
All right. My first story of the day is one of the bigger news stories coming out, today. It's not Aaron Rodgers, unfortunately. It's not. Or fortunately, however much you feel about him. But, John Gruden, a man that we talked about in the past, it's come out that he's suing the NFL, saying that they basically forced his hand and that he was singled out and being forced out of his NFL job over in Oakland. So, with everything that's been going on in the league this year, like I said, John Gruden, Aaron Rodgers, Henry Ruggs, it just seems like every week there's something, that's damaging to the shield, So what are your thoughts on this whole lawsuit? Does he have legs to stand on, or is it kind of just a, Hail Mary?
Oh boy.
I think he has lots of room to stand on. I think the NFL put the cart way in front of the horse with just trying to protect its image. I mean, some of those emails were from when he wasn't even working in the NFL, right? So it was when he was working for ESPN. And so I can see that as a, maybe just a personnel thing, like he's breaking the honor code of the NFL brand. But in the same aspect, before they let him back into coach, they had to do their homework. And so I understand that scandals come out, but like they jumped the ship on this. They wanted to protect their image after everything going on.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because he's actually suing the NFL. So it's not the Raiders that he's suing here. And this was something that raised a red flag for me as somebody who's been through investigations and that before. Like, first of all, this all started because they were investigating Washington football team. It had nothing to do with Gruden, right? So it was an investigation into the sexual harassment and cultural issues that were going on with that franchise. And Bruce Allen, who was the former GM, had emailed Gruden, and that's how Gruden's emails got put into this, because they were, they looked at all the emails from the Redskins employees, or the Washington football team's employees, excuse me. So, but what was interesting is that Gruden's were the only ones that were leaked. So there was I think I saw an article that said there was 650,000 emails or something like that.
Correct.
And Gruden's were the only ones that were disclosed and leaked. And so I think he's got a very clear case for, that, just in the sense of why was he the only one that was subjected to that? And especially since he wasn't even the focus of the investigation.
Introducing Venture X.
There's articles that kind of suggested that
miles on flights Capital One Travel.
They were basically trying to scapegoat
to over 1,300 airports.
Embarrassment with the Washington franchise.
Sorry.
Was that me? I hope that wasn't me.
I don't think it was me. I mean, I'm trying to find his statement on the official, seeing what he's officially trying to sue them for. But
he's probably got a case for yeah. I need to look and see exactly what the, in terms of the legal grounds, what he's. here. So yeah, so he's basically saying they unfairly targeted him. So I'm reading this here. It says the NFL and Roger Goodell engaged in a malicious and orchestrated campaign against Gruden and intentionally leaked the email.
That's someone else?
That's me. I'm sorry.
Oh,
That's me. And pop-up ads on these,
I know, I hate the pop-ups. So I don't know. I mean, like, do you think the NFL is going to have to release other emails? Because I could see that coming out of the court case of like, you've got to disclose the other things, and maybe that's going to lead to us learning some things about Washington that aren't so good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all in due fairness. I mean, in my personal opinion, like you said, he wasn't even the focus of the investigation, and I'm not here to defend what he said or anything of any of his actions. Those were definitely wrong. But 650,000 emails, and you're telling me he's the only one subjected? And what's funny enough is before they decided, or basically decided John Gruden's future, is the NFLPA even lobbied for those emails to be released, and the NFL didn't do it. So I'm just wondering.
Sorry, Preston. So yeah, I'm just looking at his attorney. The quote here is, and this just gets to your point. The attorney says there's no explanation or justification for why Gruden's emails were the only ones made public out of the 650,000 emails collected in the NFL's investigation of the Washington football team, or for why the emails were held for months before being released in the middle of the Raiders season. So I think that's the other thing. It's not just that they had them, but when they chose to release them during the season when they had them well, like they knew that stuff was going on well before then,
Mm-hmm. It's a very sticky situation, very rough situation.
Yeah. Well, and like, hey, we've talked about this in some of our classes, but man, when you email somebody, just your emails can get, your emails can be analyzed too. So we just got to be careful with those kinds of things also, but yeah, there's a lot of issues here. I suspect they'll reach some sort of settlement if I had to guess, but I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think Gruden will coach again?
I'm pretty sure somebody will give him a chance. It'll be a little bit of time, maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 years. But he's still relatively young, so he'll get a shot somewhere.
I don't think he will. I think he's done.
No.
I hope he's done. I mean, he's an old school coach that doesn't work well in today's system. I mean, you can't be insincere anymore and get away with it because that's not the way that we're supposed to be. So
yeah,
I hope he's gone. I mean, just for his sake, because I wouldn't see anything coming but more problems for this guy. Like imagine Mike Ditka coaching now.
Oh,
It's dude, you would be in the building for 2 days and you're done.
Oh yeah.
You would cry and you're out. And it's just not the hard charging, the hard way it used to be. So
Parcells.
Yeah, Parcells. Yeah.
But can you imagine some of the players? Like imagine if a veteran came back, like let's say Greg Lloyd from the Pittsburgh Steelers, the linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine he came into the league now. He came into the locker room and blew that up. There was it was funny. I was watching the other day, I was watching YouTube, and let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Because it was Kobe Bryant. He was on the Jimmy Kimmel show. And Jimmy showed a picture of him with the Lakers just lost their 8th in a row. Hey, let me see. I'm going to share my screen real quick. So I don't have the copyright for this information.
Yeah.
Cover our bases.
Okay, you guys got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, here you go.
It was very handsome. Thank you. I saw you have the sling. I saw
You guys
the
hear?
sling yesterday.
Well, I'm fresh out of the sling as of like 45 minutes ago.
I didn't want to shake your
Fresh
hand
from the
too
dock.
hard because my hands are very powerful. They've been known to crush men who don't have injuries.
Yeah.
Make you upset? Would you like for them to be doing well without you there, or are you kind of happy that they're? No.
No, you want to win.
Yeah.
It's really a,
An 8-game losing streak.
uh-huh,
They beat the Celtics,
uh-huh.
overtime, great. This is from after that game.
Just got interested. Come back before so take you got the friends here.
We back in the building. Y'all thought we was gone. My man Jay Lynn was doing this thing. Jay Hill doing his thing.
Nick out there hitting his free throws, you know how he do it. You know, Jalen go to the back, like, hey, that's what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
my
How you
man, you got a nice suit on today too, man.
do? Appreciate that, swag.
You got
Man, wow.
Now, would that happen if you were there? Would there be a celebration?
Oh, Mamba, love it.
Yeah, rest in peace.
So-
man.
Yeah. So, but the thing I'm getting to is that, you know, this guy, oh man, he ran his team. You know, imagine if you were to come back now and those guys are doing that. They just snapped an 8-game losing streak, you know, and they're just acting ridiculous about it. And, you know, so I think I hope, going back to the Gruden thing, I hope he doesn't coach anymore because he's setting himself up for failure. He can't go to the college ranks because it's worse. He definitely can't go to high school.
No.
But
What about being a broadcaster again?
I mean, in terms of broadcast, I think it's the same thing. I don't think they'll touch him
Yeah.
in that world. But being a coach, like I said, you know, like I said, I'm kind of like, I hope he's done. You know, I hope he doesn't get another shot, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does. Because if you're desperate to win and you want to change it around, yeah, the guy who's got a track record of success, kind of, you know,
Mhm.
why not?
Yeah, we'll see how short some of those memories are, you know. But yeah, I don't think he gets another. I just think he's seen his damaged goods, and I don't think the teams now seem to be getting so sensitive to PR issues that like they won't even go there because they don't want to deal with having to sell it with all the media hits and stuff that would come, I think. So yeah. That was a good one, Preston. Any final thoughts on that case before we move on to the next one?
Just, you know, I would just be really interested to see, you know, how it goes. Like you said, if they truly settle, or you know, if they actually go into long litigation, you know. So
Yeah, my guess is the NFL is going to try and do everything they can to prevent those other emails from becoming public. So we'll see.
well, not only that, I think the NFL is going to do what they can to say they're going to settle with him out of court and just say, bro, just go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because bringing this to light, you know, Roger Goodell is going to have a fit with this. So, it's a good one, Preston. I like it.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one to lead us off with. So, all right, Dustin, what you got?
I got 2.
Okay.
So, because 2 have been really, really getting at me. So, the first I'm going to talk about is the NFL referee, Tony Corrente. So, during the Bears and Steelers game last week, it was in the fourth quarter. It was coming down to the end of the game, and Cassius March is the guy that got called for a 15-yard taunting penalty. He got cut from the Steelers at the very first of the year. The Bears picked him up on waivers, and so he went through and played the whole season with the Bears. Now he's playing his old team that cut him, right? So there's a little bit of animosity there. I think it's third. I don't know. I don't even remember the whole situation. But anyway, so he sacked Ben Roethlisberger or Mason Rudolph, one of them. He sacked him, did his little dance thing, and then stared at the Steelers sideline and all the coaches. Just stared at him. Turns around, goes to run off the field. Tony Corrente sticks out his hip on purpose. You can see the hip check. Marsh hits him in a little bit and doesn't even stop, just kind of goes around him. Well, Tony Corrente throws a 15-yard penalty for taunting. He doesn't throw it when he's celebrating. He throws it after he hip checks him. So now fans are all in an uproar, and it cost the Bears the game because it gave Pittsburgh a first down and allowed them to kick a field goal to win the game. So Preston, as a GM of the Bears, for the president of football operations, how do you handle this? And 2, how long is it until referees start getting held accountable for the horse shit calls that they are having?
Okay, to answer your first question, I wouldn't fault my player at all. I mean, you've got to understand these are athletes. They love to compete. They're the highly competitive individuals. That's why they are who they are. That's why they're at the position they're at. So of course there's going to be some animosity, and this stupid taunting rule. You already know how I feel about it. Let them have fun. But for a referee to go out of his way to try to draw a penalty, and on a player, it's like stupid. Like if you're a player, what are you supposed to do? You can't. If you're trying to go around him as best you can, but if you graze him, he's going to throw it. So as a GM, I would go straight to the league office to try to appeal this. And I know 9 times out of 10, maybe even 10 times out of 10, they're not gonna, it's not gonna come my way. But I'm going to the league office and I'm raising hell with somebody.
Yeah, I like that. I like sticking up for your guy. I could totally understand if they threw the flag when he was doing the stare down or whatever, but it just looked to me like he was clearly, the official was clearly trying to insert himself into the game and make him the storyline. And it cost the Bears. I mean, it was a huge, as you said, it was a huge thing. So so I'll take the second question. I don't know. I mean, I don't know when they're going to get started and held accountable, because I think in some ways the NFL likes the controversy. I think because it keeps people talking about the games, even if it's not necessarily for the greatest reasons. But, look at just some of the examples we had, like the whole pass interference thing when the Saints and the Rams were playing.
Oh,
How ridiculous that was. And then, so I think they've just got to find a way to clean it up and make it better. And yeah, maybe they've got to start just getting rid of officials when they do these, because that was just blatantly obvious. I mean, it wasn't even, I don't know. I don't know why you just don't let that go, or why, I don't know what the guy's motivations were, but there's something not right there. It seems off to me. So.
Well, let's look at it real quick.
Yeah.
Let's just look at it because I want to see. Maybe this will everybody kind of refresh my minds.
Wow is right. I don't know, because the punter was running out, whether the official thought, but he wasn't even looking at the punter. He was looking at the sideline. He wasn't looking at the punter. He wasn't talking to the punter. I mean, I understand the respect of the game. Like, he's looking at the bench.
You just can't.
And he's not talking to the punter there.
No, he's definitely not. Nope.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that doesn't show Tony Carrillo.
Oh, that's probably it.
He was directing.
Here, watch this again.
No, he's already reaching. Foul had already taken place.
It's just such a subtle brush. I mean, really?
Yeah. It's almost like it was scripted, like he was trying to do it. Like, I mean, because he's not even, it's kind of like some of the concerns I have about umpires that try and like make themselves more the story with like their over emphatic calls, and like the officials should never be the storyline of the game, so I don't know that I feel bad for the Bears, because what if that cost them a playoff spot or something, that one game. I mean, so I don't know.
So this is the so what is the, so if a football player, gets upset with the referee and say he makes contact with him intentionally, he gets thrown out of the game, he's going to face a fine and stuff like that. So shouldn't this be held at the same attempt? This was intentional. Like everybody, the cast, the sport, the what do you call them? The play callers knew it. The fans knew it. I mean, it's plain, you can see it. So now you have the players that are held to the standard, but now the referees aren't. Is that what you're telling me? So he won't get suspended. He won't get fined. It's not like they're going to say, it's going to be crazy because he's scheduled to referee in the Super Bowl this year.
Oh boy.
He'll be the lead official.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing was how dramatic he was throwing the flag too. Like that, I mean, like seriously, bro, like if you're going to throw the flag, but like, I mean, it's like he's trying to get an Oscar for his flag throwing or something. I mean, it was ridiculous. So.
If I was a ref, I would have competitions with myself to see how far I can throw that flag every time.
Yeah.
Yesterday during the Browns game, one of the sportscasters, I think it was Jim Nantz, he talked about it. He said he just threw that flag 25 yards. Bro, I'm
Yeah.
trying to throw that thing 60 yards, and I'm gonna see if I can hit somebody. Because it was a couple, it was like 10 years ago, Albert Hainsworth got hit in the eye with a flag.
Yeah.
Bag came in and went through his face mask and hit him in the eye and caused a contusion. You know, those
Yeah.
things,
Yeah. Orlando Brown, it happened to him too.
Yeah, they have like ball bearings or something in them to weigh him down. So yeah.
God dang. I'm trying to start a car with that thing.
I know. Maybe the NFL will just go to robots then for officials, and they won't have to worry about that. So.
Yeah, they've been going up here. Like I said, don't even get me started on that Saints Rams call a few years ago. Don't even get me started.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So let's do this. My next one. Me and my son had an orthodontist appointment today, and we kind of took the day and went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and we're sitting there, and it's cool because when they get older, and you know this, Doc, is that you can start talking sports with them. And he's talking to me, we're talking about the quarterbacks and stuff like that. And then I asked him, because we talked about this topic 2 weeks ago in class, and then we talked about it on here about social media and the athletes. Well, right now, a big controversial case going on right now is the Kyle Rittenhouse case, right? So this Kyle Rittenhouse is charged with 2 counts of attempted murder and 1 count of manslaughter for 3 people that he gunned down, and it was claiming self-defense. This trial's been going on, it's everywhere, it's all over social media. Well, LeBron James and his infinite know everything because he went to college, absolutely none. And has never seen somebody, who said this the other day? I think it was on TikTok, I was watching it, and a TikToker said that the only police lights he's seen, he's been behind them getting guarded. But anyway, so LeBron James had this tweet the other day, and he said that, man, I like this sharing screen. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's good.
So this is what, you guys see that?
Uh-huh.
So Kyle Rittenhouse, you know, he's on trial right now, and he's reliving what happened as the defense is examining him. And from USA Today, Kyle Rittenhouse broke down in tears at his murder trial while on the witness stand as he described the events that happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin. LeBron James tweets, "What tears? I didn't see one. Man, knock it off. That boy ate some lemon heads before walking in court," with laughing emojis. When does it stop? Now we heard all from everybody when it came to Ferguson and George Floyd and everything like that. And if anybody were to say anything cross, you know, the cop wasn't guilty, get fried alive, right? But now, and I'm not making this about a race thing, what I'm trying to do is make this about an equality thing. We see equality on all this stuff on the players' helmets now. It takes all of us, you know, in racism, stuff like that. But now you got a kid who he didn't kill, he killed, there were Caucasians that he killed, 3 white people. And if you watch the whole court, if you watch the whole thing, you can see that there's all sorts of twists and turns in this thing. And it actually looks like, you know, it was self-defense. But the thing I'm saying is LeBron James is a huge tweeter. And one thing my son told me is he said that, you know, he thought LeBron James was going to get like taken down. But LeBron James, being the huge celebrity and athlete that he is, when does it finally stop and say, man, what's the point in some of this? Like, when is enough enough?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, man, that's a great question. It's really, I want to try and be, you know, careful here, but I think there's a double standard, you know, in many ways for how, you know, certain athletes might be able to say things that other people can't say, or in fact, other athletes cannot say. And I'm not, you know, if we're going to say, hey, to your point on equality, if we're going to say, hey, we want equality, everyone's perspectives are welcome. And this is one of my things with diversity and inclusion and some of that stuff too. It's like, well, I appreciate it and I understand that it's important, but there's certain people that think it means one very particular thing, in that you can only say or do these things. And if you do not say or do these things, and if you do not say or believe these things, then you are not inclusive. You know what I mean? Like there's not room for you if you have a certain position. And I think that's very, at least for me, as someone who studied media for going on 15 years now, I mean, it's concerning because you're essentially shutting off, debate and discourse and opportunities for people to, to engage with one another and converse. And if we're only getting one narrative and one side of the story, and if only these are the only things we're going to allow you to say, I think that's very problematic for our society, not just for sports. So anyway, to your question, I don't know when it's going to end, but I really wish, and this is probably going to come off condescending, and I'm not trying to make it condescending, but I really wish people would think more critically about what these big tech companies are doing. Look at the business practices of Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, these places. Like it's not altruistic. I mean, there's I don't know. I just think it's very problematic. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Well, I guess going to me, let me first kind of throw a disclaimer. Though, I'm aware of this case, but I don't know, really too many details, if really not at all. So I'm going to disqualify myself on that base there. But in terms of, the athletes and, having their voice and being, being equal in a sense, like I'm going to go back to the debate we had in actually your class, Dr. Sanderson. Remember our panels or our debates? I believe my panel was about, outspoken athletes and stuff like that. And I'll just repeat what I said back there. I said, everybody has rights. They have, freedom of speech, whatever. But if you're going to say something, you better be catching some heat. And me personally, like I said, I've just disqualified myself from this conversation really is, for me, you don't comment on something unless you're informed about it. So, that's just my 2 cents about it. And I wish a lot of these athletes were a little bit more informed. You got to realize you have a big voice.
Well, yeah. And let me maybe just add another example here with LeBron James that I think maybe kind of gets to your point, Dustin. So, with the things that have happened over the past couple of years, like, look, if you are going to come out and say, well, there's all these injustices going on and it's a problem and we need reform and change, that's great, and that's you have a platform to do that. But when it's just so ironic that was the narrative with what was going on in the United States. But then as soon as Daryl Morey criticized China, LeBron James's comments were, well, he should have thought more about what he was saying. And I'm paraphrasing that, but it was like, and if you want to go look at who's committing injustices in this world, go look at what the Chinese government is doing like, seriously, you know what I mean? Like, so I think if we're, I don't want to sit here and say, well, we can only tell people certain things to say, but man, if you're going to talk about injustice, let's talk about injustice, like don't, just because, you have this economic relationship with China, does that make them free? You shouldn't be able to criticize them. And, I think that's I think the NBA has got in my opinion, the NBA is in bed with China, and like, so how, again, injustice is wrong, but like to only focus, to not say anything about that's going on. I just, it seems hypocritical to me personally. But.
So I'm gonna get a little real for a little bit, but I've been on the other side of somebody trying to kill you, and whether, like I said, I can't comment of if it was self-defense or not, because it hasn't been, the verdict hasn't been in. From videos I've seen and stuff like that, I can tell you right now, it's a very emotional thing. It's not something to be taken lightly. And the worst part about it is when somebody, I guess, teases you or calls bullshit on you, right? So looking back at LeBron James, he had a hard childhood. till he was, 15 when he started standing out for the NBA. His mom worked 2 jobs, lived in a car. Since 16 years old, though, this kid has been put in a bubble of money and prizes and everything like that. Now you're telling me LeBron James, who has the LeBron James Family Foundation, pays for kids to go to school from Akron, he does all of this good stuff, which, okay. But in between all that, you're going to have this stupid fucking comment about some kid that just had to go through killing 3 people and he has to live with that for the rest of his life. And you're going to criticize him for if he was crying or not. We are a very small fucking podcast. But I would invite LeBron James to bring his ass on here and have a conversation with me about rights, about activism, about his tweets, and about how his life was so much harder than the 68% of Americans that live in poverty each year. You have an unlimited contract with Nike. Your kids will never know a day of hard work in their life. You have never known. You have a God-given ability. But you're going to take time out of your day to call some kid out that has to live with the decision that he made for the rest of his life, while you enjoy driving your cars and paying for this, that, and the other, and going to basketball practice. Get the fuck off Twitter, bro. Do your thing. I don't care about cussing right now. It's on YouTube. They can suspend it. I don't give a shit right now. But,
No, it's a good example to look at. It's yeah, I mean there's a lot there that could be said. So I will just say there's some inconsistencies. That's all I'm going to say.
ugh. Anyway,
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
No. It's good. That was just something that was really on my mind, and stuff like that.
you. Yeah, absolutely. So
All right, so our picks came in. You guys all finished last week. I think Doc had 4 and 2. Preston and Dwayne both 3 and 3. So Doc won last week, and then I had this last weekend all set up.
I know. Yeah.
But you guys all called off or had work or some other stupid excuses.
Well, do we got picks for this week then, or what?
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick. You guys talk about something else.
Okay, so here's mine. I'm just curious what you all think. So Kansas beat Texas in football Saturday in just a ridiculous game.
Yes.
But I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's Texas's like 4th or 5th consecutive loss. And then also, like, it was interesting because, and I know people in Lubbock are probably rejoicing, Texas basketball in Chris Beard's debut, they lost to Gonzaga. So I guess, I'm just seeing like what's going on with Texas more in football. I think basketball, they'll be fine, but like, is Texas going to be competitive in the SEC in football? Like this season's really making me question like how successful they're going to be in the SEC. So I guess that's mine. Like, you guys think they're going to be able to hang or not?
I don't think so. I mean, and granted, first, we're a little biased. We're all Texas Tech students and, work for Texas Tech, connected to the school in some way, form, or fashion. But, they weren't good, the year before or the year before that. They've always been kind of mediocre, especially in the last, 10 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why Texas got in the SEC. It's Texas. The brand is big. It's the biggest brand in the state. That's the reason they got in. If it wasn't for that brand, that name value, of all their past success, they wouldn't get invited. It would have just been on you, So to think that they can go out there and go compete with some really, big dogs, I mean, it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, I mean, clearly you got to give Sarkisian time to get his recruits in there, but to me, it shouldn't matter who is on the field. Texas should never lose to Kansas in football. Like, I mean, that's just, you're talking about such disparity in terms of talent and resources. So yeah, I mean, I think, well, we'll see how his recruiting classes unfold, but I mean, I just question whether they're going to even be able to compete. Cause I mean, if you can't, I mean, what was it? 59 to 58 or something like it was just a ridiculous game. And Kansas was ahead by like 3 touchdowns. Like it was 35-14, I think, at one point in the game. And then Texas came back. But
I mean, that program is going through some things right now. I don't know if
mean,
you're aware of that, that social media post from that one player that went viral.
oh yeah.
Coach
Yeah.
yelling at him. And not just recently, I think it was, that even that Saturday, there was a video from a prospective recruit that was visiting him. He was sitting next to other fellow recruits. And when Kansas scored that game, when it scored to win the game, they were all laughing. Like, oh no, oh boy.
Yeah.
And one guy was like, those laughs, those aren't good laughs.
Yeah.
A team like Kansas, it has reparations that'll flow through your program for years.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think in basketball, because the SEC is not necessarily a strong basketball league, top to bottom, like the Big 12, but yeah, it's a head scratcher. I don't know. Like they just have so much money down there. It's crazy. Like to just see that they've not been able, because it's been like, there was the one year they went to the Sugar Bowl, I think it beat Georgia, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago. It was when Ellinger was still there, I think, but
that's when he said we're back.
Yeah. But I mean, seriously, you look at like Tom Herman, Charlie Strong, and now Sarkisian, like it's just not happening there. I don't know. It's just very weird. And yeah, but we'll see. But on a different note, how about Tech breaking a record with the 62-yard field goal to get bowl eligible?
That was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. It was awesome.
So I actually went to that game.
Okay.
I had really good seats, and at halftime, he was kicking. It was a little bit of wind, maybe 10 to 15, and he was kicking 30 yards, and they would just float. It was the craziest thing I ever seen. And so me and the guy standing next to me, we were both like, bro, this is a horrible idea. He's just
I bet.
But when he lined up and he kicked it, it was nuts, because as soon as it left his foot, it was like, whoa, man, he put something in it. And then watching it, and it looked like he could have cleared it by another maybe 2-3 yards.
Yeah.
But the coolest thing about it is I've never seen this before, is I've never seen students rush the field. I mean, this isn't Clemson. We don't get to rush the field all the time.
Yeah.
But seeing that was the coolest thing I think I've seen. It was super.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Preston. Sorry.
And then think about all the circumstances before this game. I mean, it's Iowa State. They're supposed to beat us. The talent disparity is there. We just fired our coach. Some of the staff has to hang around for the finish of the season. I mean, we had every excuse in the book to lay down and die and say, oh, today's just not our day. But see those kids go out there, put a tremendous effort, pump jack mentality like they have, and just come out the other side. It's awesome.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was going to say. Like, I'm just super happy for the players, and also like Coach Cumbie and the other coaches, because that's just such a difficult place to be in for them, where it's like they don't really know if they're going to have a job or if they're going to be retained by Coach McGuire. So, they're living with a lot of uncertainty just for them and their families. And so I think Cumbie's done a really great job trying to, manage a very difficult situation. So I think the fact that they'll get to go to a bowl game, I think, is really cool for all those people involved. So
if you're Sonny Cumbie, how do you look at this the rest of the year going through? You already know you're not going to get the head coaching job. You don't even know if you're guaranteed to be an assistant on next year's team. So I would imagine that Sonny Cumbie is looking at this like, hey, this is a rehearsal. This is a tryout for the next team I'm going to. For them to look at me and say, hey, I ran all this thing. Or, I mean, how does he have that outlook?
I mean, if I was him, I'd take it a day at a time, And, hopefully I was talking to, a high school coach out of here at West Texas, actually, or former high school coach. He actually coached me. And he was like, if I was Joe McGuire, I would keep Sonny on. You need somebody who's passionate about the school, knows the West Texas area a little bit more to kind of get your recruits. So, this is a dress rehearsal. Hopefully, just for him to be retained as OC. And like you said, if not, go to another school, but just take it day by day. Do your best. Do right by these kids. So don't mail it in.
Yeah, I think, to some extent, they just know that's the business, and that's what they have to do. And clearly Cumby's young in his career, so he's got a long, you know what I mean? So, even if it doesn't work out for him to stay here in some capacity, like at least he'll have that to show like he's capable, you know what I mean? Like he knows that he did a good job with that, and that'll speak well for him, in future opportunities, I would think for sure. So I guess you have to just approach it from that mindset, but I'm sure it's difficult. I mean, I sure as heck wouldn't want to be in that situation for sure. So, yeah, I just makes you have a lot of respect for them and what they're having to go through. So it's not easy. So, but.
Well, see, one thing that I thought was really cool watching the game was how much Tech actually ran the ball.
Mhm.
They had 225 total yards rushing versus Iowa State's 105. And then the passing yardage, they had 207 yards to Iowa State's 89. The passing yards were Iowa State had 356, Texas Tech only had 322. But you're talking about how much lopsided that is when it comes to the rushing attempt, which is I don't remember the last time that we rushed for that many yards.
Yeah.
We haven't been that. We've been a straight throw school. And so I think the mix of the play calling was really good. And watching actually being there watching the game, like they were in a hurry up and then they'd slow down. And the coolest thing was, so Devontae Smith, the quarterback for Texas Tech, they wouldn't call plays in. He would always run over there to Coach Cumby and he would get the plays and then run back to the field, which is something I haven't seen in forever. So, I mean, I know my son plays at Abernathy and they do that a lot. But other than that, like you really don't see it anymore.
Yeah.
So it was they're doing different stuff, and I think it's making a lot of things better.
Yeah.
So I was proud of them after last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I bet Coach Cumby just trying to make Donovan, comfortable. It's his first start. Granted, he's seen some action, but especially in your first start in, a rocking house like the Jones was that Saturday. Maybe, going up to him and hearing the call from himself, as opposed to trying to hear it over a radio, over the crowd. I bet that made it a little bit more comfortable. And the quarterback's best friend is a good running game. So, I guess that's a good thing that he wanted to do is establish the run, not lean on Donovan's arm too much, expect him to win the game. He's only a freshman, but he'll grow.
Look at me, I know football best friend. On some Skip Bayless type crap over
there. There you go. Yeah.
I got one more story, actually. I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So, I am the football guy, as people know, but I also have, other sports that I enjoy watching, like UFC and boxing and stuff like that. I just wanted to talk about the masterpiece of a fight that was the Kamaru Usman versus the Colby Covington fight. If we had our friend Jim Ross on here, he would say it would have been a slobber knocker. It was a slobber knocker. But kind of going back to what Dustin alluded with, Jake Paul and Tommy Fury.
there. No. So Saturday night when we were out for his little celebration thing, we have a guest speaker coming on. So don't you even bring that up, and you know that.
Okay.
You can't bring that up yet because we got a special guest coming for the Tommy Fury, Jake Paul fight.
I was just gonna come out and say, what do you think about Kamaru Usman wanting to challenge Canelo Alvarez?
I think that's stupid. That's retarded.
The first ever undisputed super middleweight champion ever. You've seen a lot of cross.
So I think that comparison of MMA going to boxing, right? They're taking away half of their wheelhouse. Or maybe a quarter of their wheelhouse, right? And you're going against Canelo Alvarez, who was probably one of the best boxers that ever hit the ring. What is he, like the super duper middleweight champion of the world? He has like 47 belts. He had 2 guys carrying a wristful of belts to his last fight. I think that would be like, they say LeBron James could be a great tight end. That would be like LeBron James lining up, against Jalen Ramsey.
Mhm.
Don't look like I get it. You're tall and you're big, but that's not your wheelhouse. I'm not going to sit here and have Baker Mayfield go play LeBron James in basketball or Patrick Mahomes, who was a standout basketball guy. I'm not going to do that. That's the,
Stay in your lane.
there you go. Stay in what you practice.
Yeah.
I don't pretend to be a professor.
Yeah, I just think it's, yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's for the money fight, you know, especially MMA. You don't make quite as much money as boxing, so I guess, and especially Kamar's not getting any younger. He's kind of run the table in the UFC. He just kind of wants to make his money. That way he can retire nice.
I will say this about Jake Paul. He has brought to my attention how underpaid the UFC fighters are. Compared to, you know, the payday that Conor McGregor got off Floyd Mayweather, or the payday that, you know, even Tyrone Woodley got off of Jake Paul. You know, and those guys put their body in so much more of a compromising position than boxers do. And I'm not saying UFC is better than boxing, so get your panties out of a bunch. I'm just saying that your whole body is involved in, it could subject to injury. And you're talking about getting kicked in the thigh 47 times. But that is one thing that's brought to my attention, was how underpaid those UFC guys are for how big of a company they are.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're not like the other professional sports leagues are all unionized, but those guys don't have any of that kind of protection. So I think that's where that kind of plays a role a little bit with some of that.
There's a
They don't
lawsuit
have-
going for them to try to unionize. A lawsuit.
Yeah, it's
So
way too risky for them. So at least right now. But
Okay, so it's time for super picks.
all right, let's do it.
So my son's in the room. He's
Okay.
gonna make the calls for Dwayne this week.
Okay, cool.
So first we got Michigan State versus OSU. So
I got-
Michigan State, we both know that, you know, they lost to Michigan.
they beat Michigan.
Never mind, they beat Michigan. Shut up, Preston. Anyway, so Michigan State's number 7. Ohio State's on that bubble to get in for the college football playoff at number 5. Right?
Mhm.
So it's Saturday. It's at Ohio State. It's 11 a.m. kickoff. So who do you have?
I got the Buckeyes.
You got the
I mean-
Buckeyes?
I got the
I
Buckeyes.
mean, I hope and pray that Michigan State wins because I just do not like Ohio State, but I just don't see it. So Ohio State just seems to be clicking on all cylinders right now. So I think Ohio State will take it, especially since it's in Columbus.
And Michigan State got beat by Purdue. So
Well,
State throttle.
Purdue took off 2 top 5. So
Yeah.
they got ass smashed against Ohio State. But, you know, still. So who you got, Bryson? Okay, so my boys got Michigan State. So Dwayne, you got Michigan State.
Okay.
All right, now a good game. I think it's going to be a great game. Underneath the radar is Cincinnati. So Cincinnati is going to SMU. No, SMU is coming into Cincinnati. SMU has been playing pretty good football as of late. It's going to be on ESPN, which is going to be good. And so I'm pretty stoked about this. What do you guys think of the game? And because SMU just beat Central Florida with a 55-28 win. They went on for 631 total yards, and 2 backs rushed for 90+ yards. And Tanner Mordecai, the quarterback, had a 68.5% passing completion rate. So the Bearcats beat South Florida 45-28. They had 304 passing and 65 rushing yards just from the quarterback. So the Bearcats, it's going to be at Cincinnati. They haven't lost a game there since November 10th of 2017. So who you got?
All right. So, man, Cincinnati's kind of been dancing around it. They should have probably lost to Tulsa, except they fumbled there right at the goal line. I think this is where I think this is where it ends for Cincinnati. I think SMU's just got too high octane of an offense. I think they'll go in there and win. So I'm gonna go with SMU.
All right, I'm
Yeah,
gonna stick with the Bearcats. You know, I mean, they're playing pretty good football. Yeah, they almost lost to Tulsa, but hey, they won big against UCF. Granted, it's UCF, but maybe they kind of woke up, said, let's not get too high on ourselves. Let's slow our roll. Let's play good football. So
Yeah. Right. Why do you got Cincinnati? Ooh,
what is it?
I say that. Come here. He said SMU hasn't been able to stop the spread offense. They're 1-6 against the spread offense.
Oh, well, that would have been helpful to know before I made my pick.
So,
Well, I'll still go with SMU because the AAC, there's always a game every year where the favorite runs into an issue. So I'll still go with SMU. So
okay. All right. So the next game is, we're going to guess. So Alabama plays Arkansas this week. It's one of the only 2 ranked games. Alabama just came off like a 227-3 win over New Mexico State, which, oh boy.
Yeah.
So they're playing at Alabama. Now, what we're going to call this time is the point spread. So Alabama's favored by 20.5. Are you giving Alabama 20.5? Are you taking the over or the under? Are they going to make the spread or not?
I'm gonna take the under. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm going to take the 20 points. I mean, Arkansas has done nice things. I mean, Pittman's really had a nice year, so I can see them keeping it within 20. I could see like a 41-24 type of game or something like that.
Okay. So you think they're going to clear it?
Yeah, no, I'll take the points just for Arkansas.
Right.
So I don't
Okay.
think 20.3 or whatever it was.
Okay. What do you got, kid? Over? You think they're going to beat them by over 20? Okay. Why is that?
Because the only team's been able to show that they're not able to show the aim. Nayland was not bad this year, but I don't know. Arkansas, I don't see him losing less than 4.
Okay. Never been more proud of my kid in my life, dude.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. It's good.
it's good to get him involved.
So then you got Oregon at number 4, and they're playing Utah at number 24. So Oregon, of course, lost early to Ohio State. They've been on a roll. They didn't play too good last week. In Utah, so Oregon beat Washington State 38-24, which is an unranked team. And then you had Utah beat Arizona 38-29. So it's at it's at Utah. So it's not in Oregon, it's at Utah. So who do you got, Preston?
I've got the Oregon Ducks. I like Mario Cristobal. I like what he's done there. Like you said, they did have a big win against Ohio State early in the year. So I think they'll just carry that on.
Same here. I'm really pulling for the Pac-12 to get the team in this year, so I got to go with the Ducks. That's going to be a tough game, though. That's a tough place to play. So,
What do you got, Marcy? The Ducks. Well,
all right.
I think he likes the Ducks. He used to love the Ducks when Mariota was there. So.
Oh, he was so good. Yeah.
Mariota.
He was so good. Yeah. But,
Hey, hold on. He's spitting more numbers that way. Go say again.
They had over 440 passing yards last week and 300 rushing.
So how did you saw the defense against the pass?
It's not going to be good. Their secondary is their strongest.
All right, this one's going to be super special because I want to hear my son spout off some crap. So we got the Green Bay Packers against the Minnesota Vikings. This is a division game. Green Bay comes in off of a win yesterday, very ugly, against the Seahawks. And then Minnesota win? yesterday?
Yeah, they beat the Chargers.
No, they beat the Chargers are running pretty good too. So what do we think about that?
Is it in Lambeau?
No, it's in Minnesota. It's in the Dome.
Yeah, it's in Minnesota.
I'm going to take the Vikings then.
Why's that?
I just think they're good at home. I don't know, maybe a trap game for the Packers. I know Rodgers is still kind of easing his way back in. So I don't know, I just think the Vikings have good momentum, and it's a nice win against the Chargers. So I just think they'll keep that. I just think they'll keep that rolling. If it was in Green Bay, I'd pick the Packers. So it's just a matter of location, really, for me. But.
I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. Granted that win was ugly, but the Seahawks are a talented team, and Aaron Rodgers has been out of the building, and he didn't get to start, so he's just getting his groove back. And the reason I'm not taking the Minnesota Vikings is because of a man named Kirk Cousins. That man seems to choke all the time, but it seems that it comes down to the wire. So
You don't like that?
I don't like him.
Don't like that?
I don't.
He's getting paid a lot of money to do that. So props to him. So.
Yeah. So what do you got, Bryson? Why is that?
He's had an outstanding season, but whenever it comes to toxins, you can't do it. But Packers doing bad second. I think the defensive line of the Packers will start Kirk Cousins and Cousins.
There you go.
But your son can't do that. All right. So this is probably one of, besides the Broncos, Dallas is coming off a huge win against Atlanta with a 44-3 win. Kansas City yesterday, they won pretty good. It seems like they're back on track. They beat the Las Vegas Raiders 41-14. Who do you have in this one and why? It's in Dallas.
I'm going to take the Cowboys. Granted, they played Atlanta. Atlanta's not the best of teams, but they're a good team. And I think the Chiefs, that was a big win, big statement win, but it's the Raiders. They're going through their own turmoil and stuff like that. So I would, it's a good win, but if I had to discount one for a little bit, it'd be that one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think, like you said, I think they've righted the ship. And every time I pick, I thought the Cowboys were going to beat the Broncos, and look what happened there. So I'll just stick with the Chiefs and think that they're going to keep it rolling. So.
Okay, so you got KC. You got Bryson. Why do you have the Cowboys?
Because they've been the team to beat for a while now. And the Chiefs have not been doing good against the defenses. And the Cowboys have one of the top defenses in the league right now. And Trayvon Diggs is going to come out of nowhere and get a few. I feel like he'll get one pick six this week.
Ooh.
I forgot to do.
Bryson / Dwayne are going out with a pick six, guys.
All right. Wow.
Got that. Yeah.
I will say this, as a Cowboys fan for forever, it's been a long 25 years since we've been good consistently. So I'm really happy. Dan Quinn has done an amazing job with the defense this year.
Yeah.
I think he stuck it to the Falcons on purpose yesterday. But I'm completely content. And for the first time, I still don't believe that Kelton Moore is a head coach. I think he's a really good offensive coordinator. But I think with him also, Zeke Elliott has taken a big backseat to Tony Pollard, which has helped a lot because Zeke's not getting near as many carries, so he's not getting hit as much. But CeeDee Lamb, and that kid is balling.
He's good. Yeah.
So Preston, as a GM, would you make any moves on this team? Do you see any deep links in this team?
Other than their defensive line, granted, they just lost Randy Gregory. I would try to make a move just for some depth. I'm not going to try to go get a big guy like a Von Miller or anybody, but just some depth. Other than that, because, as you wind down to the closing weeks of the season, that's your main concern is depth. and their defensive line is the only thing that I could see a weakness in.
What about you, Doc?
Oh man, I'll admit to not really being that up to date on the Cowboys roster needs, but
Well, here, I'll ask you this question then. The Rams just added OBJ and his dad to their team.
Yeah,
And his dad.
yeah, that's key, and his dad. Yeah.
Oh, so do you think that the Rams are the winner of the NFC just off their, because they have Von Miller on the outside. They got
Von
Aaron.
Miller, yeah.
Granted,
Yeah.
I just read an article that the Rams didn't know Von Miller's ankle was as bad as it is. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. I mean, they still got Aaron Donald though. I mean,
Yeah.
I just think the Rams, like OBJ, that's going to give Stafford another weapon. They're going to have home field most likely, or I think the Rams got to be the favorite to come out of the NFC for sure. The Cardinals, Cardinals could make it interesting, but yeah, that's just a nice upgrade for the Rams, giving Stafford another weapon like that. So,
Especially after Robert Woods tore his ACL like the day he got there.
yeah.
So the Rams are in a, they're actually right now, they're in the wild card.
Yeah, because that NFC West is really good. I mean, they got the Cardinals.
Yeah,
they got-
so the Cardinals are in front of the NFC West.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's scary for them to be a wild card at 7-2.
Yeah, I know. So
The only thing I'm hoping is that we have a better record and we don't pull them in the first round, because that's going to suck.
right.
And I don't think the Rams are the favorite in the NFC. I got the Cowboys being the favorite.
Maybe?
Yeah, granted, the Rams are in a win now mode. They keep trading for these big name guys and stuff. But it's different when you've built a team like the Cowboys have. They built that team with draft picks and stuff. They built it, for lack of a better term, the right way. If this was 5 years ago, then the Rams would be the favorite. OBJ's not the same. Von Miller's definitely not the same. So, like, all these roster moves, I mean, they look nice on paper, but I think in reality, it's not as great as everybody makes it out to be.
What do you think, Bryson? Who's the team in the NFC? No. I swear to God, if you say the Packers, I'm going to come over and punch you.
So you can say the Packers.
This kid is the most loyal fan to a team that he's never even lived in Wisconsin in his life.
Yeah. Hey, that's how it happens. So that's good. That's good.
But yeah, so he says it's the Cowboys too, so I'm proud of him today. That one more than likely change tomorrow, but right now,
Yeah.
he doesn't have to walk home today. He gets around it.
There you go.
So that's all I got. Picks are in, guys. They're locked.
All right. Well, hey, this was great. Another great episode of Sports with Doc and Dudes, and look forward to doing this again next week. Thanks, everybody.